So after probably the most successful evening at the racetrack that I've had in a very long time, I kind of came down off the high of my personal best time and realized how easy it would be to. I'm low 13s now. If I can get into the high to mid 12s, I would be ecstatic. And I'm pretty confident that I've got it with what I have for a setup, and we'll go from there. So a few of the things I'm going to do, I'll just share with you in the next couple videos. So if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, stick around.
Left-hand lane, Elvira's back. That's Cley Sammons out of Martinsville, 74 Plymouth Duster with the 360. And on the right-hand lane, Big Blue, Aaron Vogue, 1961 GMC.
So to anybody that's new and never seen any of my previous stuff, this is my subject. It's 74 Plymouth Duster. It's got a fresh 360 stock Magnum bottom end, aluminum heads, single plane intake, and a 750 double pumper on it. It's got an A500 overdrive automatic transmission and a 430 gear. Now, its primary role in life is a cruiser and going and get an ice cream machine. But I'm looking to make it as good as I can at as many different things as possible. So this is where we're at right now. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say first thing, and you know what? I do. I appreciate any comments that anybody wants to share. But one of the first things that we're going to hear is, oh, you need to change the converter. You need to change the converter. And I do. I 100% agree. What this one is it's supposedly a factory high stall converter, but it's probably not more than about 2200 RPM at most. Excuse me. So that is probably going to be next year territory. And I'll probably end up having to screw around and do all this over again. But you know what? I really enjoy this portion of it. And for now, we're going to do what we can with the parts that we have, and we're gonna try and improve what we can. Now, for now, I'm gonna concentrate on my 60-foot time. That's gonna be the place where I can make my greatest improvement. I was doing some research on this and watching a video, and it seems extreme, but um, Uncle Tony from Uncle Tony's Garage, love him or hate him, he put out a video on how 1/10 in the 60 foot should actually equal out to 7/10 at the quarter mile. So I know how he got the figures. I understand the math. I really like the Wallace Racing calculators, which is actually where he got his information from. But I'm not expecting quite that, because I know those calculators and whatnot are all based on perfect setups and perfect situations. But I guess in essence, that's what I'm trying to do, is trying to get closer to the perfect setup and see what all I can do for everything that I've got. Just try to optimize what I already have, and we should be able to make something happen. Now, I have three-way adjustable drag shocks on this car. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to confirm the settings that are in them. I believe that the front shocks are set for minimum resistance to rise, like 90% ability to rise and 10% ability to droop, which is what you definitely want on the front end. And the back, they're actually, I believe they're right now set to 50-50. So it's equal amount of resistance to rise and droop. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify the rears. I'm going to confirm the fronts are what I believe they are, and I'm going to modify the rears to give them the least amount of resistance to droop and the most amount of resistance to raise. That's the only really options I have with these three-way adjustables. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty stuck with what I've got, at least for now. Obviously, in the future, goodness knows what might happen, and 86-way adjustable shocks might be a thing. But for now, this is what we got, and this is one of the things that we're going to do. Now, another thing is the front of the car. It's got slant 6 torsion bars in it. I actually learned real quick to replace the big, thick, heavy cornering style torsion bars and put the slant 6 bars in. That did make a significant difference, but now I'm just looking to improve it a little bit more. So there we go. We got 90-10 drag shocks, slant 6 torsion bars. It's hot as balls out, and I'm not going to take it out of the garage to show you. Maybe I'll dig up a picture or something like that. But it does sit really stink bug low in the front and high in the back. So just for shits and giggles, at some point, I'm going to try and lift the front of this car and see what that does. I just, maybe an inch or something like that. I'm just thinking it'll give a little more stored energy in those torsion bars. And I'm thinking it's going to help me with my front end lift and my weight transfer. But that's super easy to do on these torsion bar cars. So you just crank on that nut in the bottom and make sure that they're even. Only bad thing is I'm probably going to have to double check my toe in, toe out after that, just to make sure it's still within acceptable range. But that's going to be another thing that I'm going to do to see if I can make this sucker hook. Now back here, I've got a Nitto NT something 555 or some shit, and it's a drag radial. And one of the things that I need to do still is mess around with tire pressure on this thing. I started out at 20 psi, and I was definitely spinning. Dropped it down to 18. It still had a real ability to spin the tire, and it just, I know these are not the sweetest, bestest drag radial on the planet, and actually the worn out Mickey Thompson ET Streets that I replaced with these, they definitely hooked better. But again, just because of mistakes I made and ordering and purchasing these, and basically going to run these until they're wore right the hell out, I got to figure out what I can do to make these hook. Now, I know guys that are doing 1.7 60 foots on these tires, so it could be partially, it might be easier to sort it out with a different set of tires, but I know I'm going to be able to sort something out with these tires too. I just got to figure out some pressure settings that are right for them. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to about maybe 15, 16 psi from the 18 I was at, and see where that gets me. But there's just varying ideas on drag radial pressures and burnout techniques and blah blah blah. If you got any actual experience with these or any other drag radials, just share with me in the comments what you do, and maybe it'll help me figure out what the hell to do with my situation. Now, as far as the rear springs, they're just Mopar Performance 00203 super stock spring for a 3,200 pound car or whatever it is, which, I mean, that's probably the right spring for this car, at least in its current configuration. And what I did is I removed all the clamps off the back and put those clamps on the front, like talking about rear section of the spring and front section of the spring. Supposedly what this is able to do is it allows rear suspension to fan out and get some movement there, where the front section will actually be stiffer and act more so like a traction bar. So I'm unsure if that's going to make a difference or not. Supposedly, these super stock springs are designed to be thicker and stouter in the front anyway. So whether that little bit's going to make any difference or not, I'm not sure. And I'm kind of contradicting myself in a way as well, because what I'm saying is with shock settings, I want it to squat, but with the spring, I'm opening it up to allow it to lift. Now, if you squat, supposedly you drive the tire into the ground, helping traction. If you lift, supposedly that helps better with weight transfer. So one of the main things I got to do is I got to convince one of my camera people to take some real good video of me up close on the starting line, because it was great last time I was out. Lots of my family was there. Lots of video was taken, but it wasn't really exactly what I needed. So we're going to work that out. We're going to really, to be able to know 100% what we're diagnosing, you've really got to be able to see it very well. But anyway, this is the kind of thing that I'm trying to just science out and figure out. And ideally, what it's going to do is it's going to help my suspension react better, help plant this tire, and help get me off the line. Because, I mean, I'm currently sitting at like a 2.08 60 foot as like the best 60 foot I've ever done. And it should be better for what I've got. I mean, they got the 430 Sure Grip. I've got 275 drag radials. I've got arguably 350 to 400 horsepower. I got the transmission I have actually has a low gear set in first gear in the transmission. It's actually that part of it just by luck. I mean, I cobbled together whatever I could buy cheap, and it works out real nice. Shift out of first gear at 6,000, shift out of second gear at 6,000, and I cross the stripe at 6,000. So, I mean, that's working out pretty damn good for me. Once I get the suspension sorted out, I will mess around with shift points and whatnot like that. See what it does if I shift out of first to 5,700. It depends on where my engine wants to pull the most. It seems to pull real good where it is, but who knows? Maybe there's more in it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got a little something out of that. It's been said to me by a bunch of people that this is the fun part. And you know what? Absolutely. This is the fun part. When I had the engine out, the interior out, the whole friggin' car apart, and I just wanted to be driving, I was a little bit disappointed in myself. But after that first trip down the track and that 1336, when the best I'd ever done prior to that was a 1535, I was a pretty happy feller. So just looking forward to make more and more improvements going forward. I still have to mess around with the carburetor a little bit more, and just stick around. I'll share what I do and what I know and what I'm learning on that front too. Thanks for watching.